Welcome back to JCR Garage, and this time I'm talking about how it seems Scandinavians are so good in driving in winter conditions. Now, one thing is we have weather like we have today. As you can see, there's a lot of snow, and the snow is really wet. The reason it's really wet is that the temperature outside right now is 0.5 degrees negative. That's Celsius. And Fahrenheit, well, you got that right there. This is the condition we are used to. Well, some of us are used to. I'm not saying every single Scandinavian is dominant at driving in winter, but some of us are. There is a reason why the Finns have so many great rally drivers. They know how to handle loose surfaces and sudden dips on the road. The conditions we have most of the year is like this. Slippery roads, ton of snow, and sometimes there hasn't been a truck out yet to get the snow out of the way. So sometimes we just have to drive on the big piles of snow. And living like I do, very, very far away from civilization. I'm not talking Alaska here, but well, it is pretty close. I have to drive, what is it, 30 kilometers to the nearest store. And 30 kilometers, multiply that by 1.6 and you got it in miles. That is my commute to get to a store or a school or hospital. Yeah, anywhere. If I want to get anywhere and I can do anything other than drive or be at home, I have to go 30k. And in winter it is on roads like these. It is snow at the bottom. Well, at the bottom is asphalt, and on top of that there is snow, probably a layer of ice, and then more snow. And doing this today is actually a pretty good time to do it, because there was a public warning to let your car sit now, because the roads are insanely slippery. Yesterday morning, there was a bus that had to turn off the road into a ditch because there was an oncoming car that couldn't stay in its lane. It was so slippery that the bus had to go into the ditch to avoid head-on collision with a car. And further on south, about where I was last weekend when I took the Granada for a road trip, on the highway down there, there had been 2 cars and a truck. And I'm talking big rig truck, not a pickup truck. Had an accident on there. It was, yeah, carnage. And now, that goes back to the point that I said that not all Scandinavians are good at winter driving. Some of them are from places like Oslo or places further south, where what they call winter is absolutely no snow, probably a little bit falling down every now and again, but nothing ever staying on the ground, and -5 degrees Celsius. Now what I call winter is something like this. It is 2 feet of snow. The temperature rarely gets hotter than -10 degrees Celsius. Fahrenheit is still there. And the roads, well, they don't use salt on them, so they don't get back down to asphalt, which is a good thing because it means I can drive the old cars all the time. There's no salt that'll help them rust any faster. And there is rarely any gridding car going around throwing grit all over the road, because, well, this is far off the beaten path. People who live here, they know the road, they know how to handle the road, they know where it will be slippery from time to time. When you know a road, and I'm pretty confident in saying this, that you can put anyone behind me that is a fast driver but doesn't know this road, put me in front of him, I'll beat him. Because I know this road where you can and can't f*** up. There's a friend of mine, he has a Volvo 940 now, but he had a 740, naturally aspirated, non-turbo, regular grocery getter Volvo 740. He was right on my tail. And this is back when I was driving the Aspen. And well, you can figure it out. You don't really need to think long and hard to figure out that a Volvo 740 will outhandle a 77 Dodge Aspen wagon. And well, it wouldn't outgo me because I had a lot more horsepower than him, but the returns he would catch me. But he didn't know this road. He's driven this road a lot after that, but he didn't really know it back then. So he just went, you drive first, I'll just stay behind you. And there was a couple of other people that was trying to like follow us because, well, they didn't have anything to do, so they figured, would they join us? Because, well, they knew which road I lived down, but they didn't know where. And they saw us leave, so they figured, well, we'll just jump on behind them. The thing is, I know the road, so I go as fast as I know the road can take, and the Aspen can take. He knows that I know, so he just stays on my bumper and brakes whenever I brake, because, you know, well, the Aspen is not going to manage the turns as good as the 740 is, so he's just going to stay behind me and he'll be safe. And the other guys that kept coming behind us, they came up, they didn't go the speed limit, but they didn't ever catch up to us. They didn't see even a trace of our lights anywhere. And I mean, well, this is a heavily forested area, but they didn't see anything at all. They couldn't catch up to us. And some of those guys are pretty fast drivers, and they know how to correct themselves in a oh crap situation. But they couldn't catch up with us because we knew, well, I knew the road and he was just staying behind me. If you're driving in winter, you don't have winter tires. I've seen a lot of videos from America where people are driving down a straight stretch of road, because let's face it, it is America, and you have roads that go on for miles and miles and miles, and you don't see a single turn other than a turnoff. But if you go down that stretch of road, as I've seen in many videos on YouTube, people driving down there, they're going straight forwards, someone starts to fishtail, that car fishtails and spins out of control, the person driving behind it panics, slams on the brakes, gets the car all out of shape, slides off the road, crashes into the first one, and then everyone else follows. That's amazing! How do they manage that? And also, well, I'm not talking just about America here, but many other people, you don't panic brake when it's slippery outside. You don't just lock them up and get the car sideways, because that will get the car sideways. If you upset the balance of a car, it will lose control. You might be able to regain that control, but don't bet on that. If you're gonna get a car out of control, be in a controlled environment. At least some controlled environment. You don't just slam on it and go, whoa, that crashed. That road, that's too damn slippery to drive on. It's not too slippery to drive on, you just need to learn how to drive. Because right now, the speed limit here is 80k, 50 miles an hour, which I am doing, and well, the road looks like this. It is snow and ice on top of each other. I don't have a problem keeping this steady at 80k. I'll go through the turns, it doesn't really matter. Rolling through the turns in this thing, it sticks to the road. I have studded winter tires. They're old and they're not good, but I have studded winter tires and they grip the road. You can't drive it on all seasons, or even if you get studless winter tires. Those are good for snow and mild ice, mild with snow on top, so you have something to grip to. those don't really work on anything other than places where the road is clear, well salted, so there's no ice or snow on it, or places where the weather isn't really all that bad. I mean, this is a regular winter day here, and I mean, yeah, like I said, I'll go 50 miles an hour through it, no problem. It doesn't even bother me, and if the car tries to step out, I am aware that it is slippery. I know that the car might step out of shape. I know it's a rear-wheel drive car, so I know the ass will come out, and if I stay in it, it'll keep going out. So I know that if I feel a smudge of the car trying to slip out in a place I don't want it to, or in a place I really can't have it step out, I'll just let off and steer the other way. And don't panic steer the other way like, oh, it started stepping out maybe an inch on the back, I'll turn the wheel a full lap around. No. For God's sake, don't do that. You will step out. And you will crash. Now, I've ranted on about this for a long time now, but that is my point. If you're going to drive in winter conditions, don't be cocky and go, oh, I got this, it's just winter, it's just snow and ice. I can handle a car, I know how to drive. If you're planning on well, not even planning on it, if you're going to panic brake, you don't know how to drive a car. I mean, in certain conditions, fine, you can panic brake, you want to stop the car. It is, get this thing stopped right now. There are some times that is a good opportunity, good option. But not always, far from always, and definitely not on slippery roads. And if you drive down, I'm just gonna put this as an example. You're going down a highway in America, straight stretch of road, maybe a few dips and crests, and you come up to a point where there are like 5 police Suburbans sitting there with a big rig flipped over in a ditch with the cab of the truck and the trailers jackknife crashed into each other, carnage everywhere, and a bunch of Toyota Camrys scattered everywhere. You don't go through that you don't go through that with your foot to the floor on either pedal. And I mean, well, America, you mostly have an automatic, so one of the 2 pedals. You don't put either of them to the floor. Alright, you have ABS, it won't lock him up, fine, but it will still upset the balance of the car. And if you then swerve to avoid something in ice, it is gonna go sideways. Especially with these crappy tires you guys use. And by crappy, I mean all seasons. Take a leaf out of the Scandinavian book if you want to drive on ice, well, on winter roads, and you don't want to go 20 miles an hour everywhere. Get a good set of studded tires. And I know some places have, well, at least in Oslo, you have to purchase a tiny little sticker to put in your window that says you have paid to be allowed to run studded tires through Oslo, because they salt the roads down there, so with studs you're gonna bury them down into the asphalt and kick up dust and pollution and all that nonsense. But with all that, you spend the money. Alright, it's gonna save you a lot of money, because if you have crappy all seasons, you drive down the stretch of road, you panic brake, car gets out of shape, you try to steer it in, but it just keeps sliding because you're on crappy all seasons that don't grip anything. That's going to cost you a lot more than those couple of bucks you have to spend to to have some stupid county let you drive with studded tires. I mean, I've had non-studded winter tires, which are basically, they are like all seasons, only a bit more soft and rubber to help you grip up to the road. I don't like them. I mean, I've had one car I drove with that. It was a Mercedes W124. It went into a guardrail because it didn't grip up through a turn, and I wasn't even going fast. I was going like 10 miles an hour. 10 miles an hour, trying to brake, it locked them up, it just slid. Alright, let off the brake, try to kind of apply some pressure to the brake. Yeah, not happening, boy. We're not gonna stop this thing. Got down to that turn, and I mean, I had over 200 yards of a run up on that turn. I knew it was coming, and I was trying to brake it. I went from 20k to 15, but that was with the car locking up its wheels, and it was on all seasons. Crappy ones, old ones at that. It was on 8-year-old all seasons. On winter tires, you replace them every 5th year. Well, 3rd. Because rubber is, it has a due date, sort of. It will get stiff after a while. You need good, soft rubber compound tires to handle the snow and ice, because you need something that will deform and grip up to the road, which hard tires won't do. So what happened there was that I got down to that turn, I turned the wheel, it started to go through, and then it just, nope, I'm gonna understeer here like a booger, I'm not gonna have any traction at all, and it just went dunk into the guardrail, and it squashed the headlight, turn signal, fender. Yeah, it just squashed that corner in. That was because that car was on crappy old tires that didn't grip up. Now, I've also had, because there was a slight emergency situation where I punctured 2 tires on my Plymouth, and I only had 1 spare. But I got two tires new from a tire store, tire shop. And they gave me 1 studded, because I had studded tires up front, and 1 non-studded. Well, it basically was an all season. It was a good year, all season, that I put on one of the rear wheels because they didn't have studded ones in 15. They didn't have them in stock. Because there's not a lot of cars that run 14s anymore, and neither 15s. Now, I used to run 14s up front on that Plymouth in the winter, and 15s on the back. Now, on the back I had 1 studded and 1 unstudded. Luckily, that car was a 1-legger, because wherever I went, if I got a little bit onto the power in that thing, it would spin. It spun the wheel like nothing you've ever seen. There's a hill when you go south of here, south of where I live, to get up that hill. It's really long, and I tried to go up there, but there was 1 peel out all the way from the bottom to the top, from that left rear tire where I had an unstudded tire. That was 1 long continuous spool out. But anyway, that is gonna be it for now. See you later. Take care.